Raptors are self-proclaimed elite shock troops that are found within many Chaos Space Marine warbands, specializing in close-range firefights and aerial assault. Like the creatures that serve as their namesake, Raptors are swift and agile predators that are capable of spotting the weak link in almost any enemy formation. Thanks to the keen eyes of these warriors and their unmatched aerial mobility, Raptors are able to strike decisive and often fatal blows against their foes by tearing off the very head of the proverbial serpent. However, the skill of these warriors, combined with their ability to locate and strike at their enemies' weakest points, will often result in Raptors becoming not only highly arrogant and conceited, but over time they will begin developing a preference for preying upon the weak and helpless, such as any civilians or slaves that are unfortunate enough to draw their attentions. Unlike the assault squads of modern-day Space Marine chapters, the jump packs of Chaos Raptors have mutated to such an extreme degree that these warriors are now capable of true flight. The equipment utilized by the Raptors, however, is far from the only part of them to have become corrupted over the millennia, as many of these once proud and noble Astartes have become transformed into something far more bestial, with their armor and even their very skeletal structure evolving to develop a more demonic or even avian appearance. Some of these Raptors have mutated to such an extreme degree that they have devolved into little more than wild animals, transforming into creatures known as Warp Talons. Raptors are also infamous for being utterly sadistic, and are known to take great pleasure in terrifying their chosen prey before slaughtering them like livestock. To do this, the Raptors will disorient their targets by screeching like banshees of ancient legend, with such sounds often being projected at deafening levels by the various amplifiers and speakers that adorn their armor. The screams and cries of the Raptors will also be projected into the vox networks of their foes, striking a fierce blow against enemy morale, as well as ensuring that their cries echo throughout the night in order to deprive their victims of sleep. These tactics will often drive their foes to the brink of insanity, and in turn render them as easy prey for the Raptors to pursue at their leisure. Because of their frequent use of terror tactics, Raptors are commonly found within the ranks of warbands which are affiliated with the Night Lord's Traitor Legion, who are themselves experts in instilling fear into the hearts of their enemies. Despite being seen as egotistical and self-indulgent by their peers, few can deny the effectiveness of Raptors upon the field of battle, and many champions of chaos will seek to recruit a number of these warriors into their warbands. Raptors are also known to form cults, with each cult demonstrating their own unique customs and rituals. The Night Lord's affiliated cult known as the Bleeding Eyes, for example, are known to perform acts of ritualistic cannibalism. These various cults formed by Chaos Raptors are rumoured to be dedicated to one of the Chaos Gods, although if this were indeed the case, it remains unclear as to which member of the Chaotic Pantheon that these cults are devoted to. So who amongst the ruinous powers could be this theoretical god of the Raptor cult? The least likely candidate in this regard would be that of the plague god Nurgle. This is due primarily to the fact that the majority of Raptors fail to display the traits that are commonly exhibited by the worshippers of Nurgle, such as the corroded armor and diseased flesh displayed by Plague Marines. That being said, however, the Raptor known as Leucoryphus, as shown within the novel Voidstalker, was shown to be sporting an almost corpse-like appearance after removing his helmet. While this could be a potential sign of Nurglite influence, it's more likely that this physical corruption is as a result of exposure to the energies of chaos which led to the other mutations commonly sported by Raptors. It would also appear to be highly unlikely that Tzeentch, the god of magic and change, would be the patron god of the Raptor cult. While the majority of Raptors have indeed undergone various mutations, as is commonly seen within those dedicated to the Architect of Fate, the alterations sported by Raptors appear to be somewhat less extreme than many of those born by followers of Tzeentch. In addition, most, if not all, Chaos Raptors would appear to lack the sorceress abilities that are commonly exhibited by those who devote themselves to this particular member of the Chaotic Pantheon. One possibility that would appear to be far more feasible, at least initially, is that the Raptor cult is focused upon the worship of the blood god Khorne. After all, raptors are infamous for taking great delight in the act of slaughter, savouring the carnage that they inflict upon their victims. In addition, those individuals that have degenerated into warped talons will become little more than feral beasts that exist solely for the purpose of hunting down and slaughtering their master's quarry. While the idea of Khorne being the god of the Raptor cult would certainly appear to be somewhat plausible, it ultimately seems to be highly unlikely, due to the way in which raptors choose to operate when hunting or upon the battlefield. While raptors may find enjoyment in the butchering of their victims, it is the terror and agony experienced by their prey during their hunts which grants these warriors a feeling of perverse delight. This desire to inflict both mental and physical suffering upon their victims before delivering a killing blow is a behavioural trait that is more commonly associated with the followers of Slaanesh. After all, Slaanesh is a god that serves as the embodiment of excess, pleasure, and pain alike, and as such, the acts of inflicting torture and pain upon other living creatures is seen by many as a way to pay tribute to the youngest Chaos god. The Raptors' use of amplifiers and Fox broadcasters to deliver ear-piercing screams as they descend upon their targets is also highly evocative of how many Slaaneshi Marines will make use of various forms of sonic weaponry, such as sonic blasters and blastmasters, where such weapons will unleash screeching harmonics and devastating bass notes that can liquefy flesh and shatter bone. In addition, within the novel Lucius the Faultless Blade, the Raptors of the Rypax cult are themselves stated outright to be dedicated to Slaanesh, as documented within the following passage.
Whereas the bulk of the Gohos Nasakai warband was, with a few exceptions, still comprised largely of Emperor's Children legionaries, the Rypax Raptor cult was a multifaceted riot of legions, renegades, and traitors of all kinds. Fulgrim's sons flew down beside Night Lords, Word-bearers, and Iron Warriors, their original legion colours perverted in garish excess or cast aside altogether in favour of the warbands. Their ranks were swelled with Raptors of the Flawless Host, Violators, and Angels of Ecstasy renegades. Even full Space Marines of the White Scars and Brazen Claws chapters were among their number, their oaths to the Imperium forsaken as they embraced Slaanesh and became members of the Rypax cult.
While this would certainly appear to confirm that Slaanesh is indeed the god of the Raptor cult, there is evidence to suggest that this may not be the case for all raptors. The majority of raptors will commonly adorn their armour with the colours and heraldries of the various warbands that they are affiliated with. Such colours can range from the dark blues of the Night Lords, the black and gold of the Black Legion, the dull grey of the Iron Warriors, or various other muted colours. By contrast, those dedicated to Slaanesh will typically embellish their armour with striking and bold colours, such as various shades of pink, gold, and purple, in order to create vibrant and often bizarre patterns. The reasoning behind this is due in part to the sensory stimulations that the majority of Slaanesh worshippers crave, as over time their senses will become increasingly dulled to more common and mundane sensations, causing them to crave excessively stronger forms of sensory stimulation. Such stimulation can be as simple as bright and garish neon colours for their vision, deafening noises for their hearing, or methods to inflict physical pain upon their very flesh in order to arouse their sense of touch. This need for ever-increasing stimulation will in turn affect the minds of those dedicated to Slaanesh, causing them to experience extreme emotional reactions which render all other sensations pale and worthless by comparison. Because of this leads to the most logical conclusion regarding the god of the Raptor cult, in that each individual cult will be devoted to a different patron deity. In this way, this means that while one cult may have pledged allegiance to Slaanesh, as shown with the Rypax, another cult may be dedicated to Khorne, while another still, as implied within White Dwarf issue 231, may devote themselves to one of the many minor Chaos gods, such as Malice, Nakoho, Zuvassin, or even another being entirely. Since the majority of Raptor cults appear to be somewhat affiliated with the Night Lord's Traitor Legion, this then means that there is even a distinct possibility for at least one of these cults to be devoted to the worship of their Primarch, the Night Haunter, Conrad Kurz. This would not be unreasonable to assume, as the Night Haunter was notorious for his actions upon his homeworld of Nostramo, which saw the Primarch butchering and torturing countless individuals, with even the most minor of transgressions resulting in public displays of mutilation and disembowelment. This will not only succeed in terrifying the population into subservience, but most, if not all forms of crime would be effectively eliminated. Indeed, Kurz's mastery in the arts of fear and terror tactics, combined with his penchant for mutilating and torturing his victims, could potentially have been the inspiration behind the more common beliefs which are held by the various Raptor cults. As such, it wouldn't be unreasonable to assume that some of these Traitor Astartes would view the Primarch as a figure of reverence or even worship. What do you think? Leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.